The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
And we're continuing to track severe weather impacts after whipping winds and heavy rains made their way across the state last night. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Hardman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. As of right now, 11,303 people in our state are still without power. That, though, is compared to more than 33,000 households that were in the dark earlier this morning.
So they're making some progress.
Yep.
Fox 61's Aaron Coogan is in Coventry now with a look at the impact.
One of hundreds of communities to lose power overnight, and a fallen tree limb in Coventry crashed through the power lines, leaving more than 600 residents without power.
There was a big thump, a big crash, and the whole neighborhood lit up like an arc welder.
It was an early morning wake-up call for neighbors like Bob Allison and Pat Stewart living along South Street.
There was an entire fire flame, or actually the sky was glowing yellow.
It made an aural sound of like, and my goodness, the flashing and the sparks, it was quite exciting.
Roaring overnight winds sent a massive tree limb crashing to the ground and tearing through a series of power lines on the way down.
This big tree behind me is what brought the power down. It put tension on all of these lines, and all of these lines down here were all sparking. So no, I don't expect to get power back, and I totally understand why.
You can still see the remnants of the resulting spark and flames.
No, it's a souvenir. It's a piece of melted asphalt.
Burnt and severed power lines strewn beside the road as more than 600 surrounding homes and businesses were left in the dark.
This is a major thoroughfare with businesses, so I expect it to be on later this afternoon.
Just up the road, a partially uprooted tree resting atop lines on the Boston Turnpike saw another 300 Coventry homes without power. Schools in the district delayed their start by 2 hours, while customers waited anxiously for updates.
It's going to be a while, and you know what? As long as no one gets hurt and everybody's safe, that's the main important thing, and thank God for that.
And it was a similar story across the state. More than half a dozen school districts implemented some kind of delayed start or full-day cancellation. Meanwhile, folks we spoke to admit, while an inconvenience, widespread power outages remain unsurprising considering the inclement weather and nature of the region.
This is New England. We were having wind. This is New England. You got to just deal with it.
And again, as some still wait for their power to be restored, Eversource say they still have crews out and about making sure every community is covered. In Coventry, Aaron Coogan, Fox 61.
Now that the storm is blown through, left a path of destruction in its path, we have the cold weather behind it.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank is here with the first check of the forecast. So Rach, is going to dry out for a few days. It's not going to warm up very much.
No, you know, it's one step forward, 2 steps or 3 steps back this time of year as we head through late winter and early spring. And so this is very common, but definitely feeling colder before we warm back up again. Here's a look at some of the highest gusts that we saw last night. Wyndham and Windsor locks close to 60 miles per hour, but closer to 50 miles per hour for Bridgeport and Danbury. Still, it was enough for about 2% of the state to lose power. It always feels like more than that, though, when it's including you. And there definitely were more outages in northeastern Connecticut where the impacts were just greater due to the number in the town. Here's a look at the wind gusts now. 25, 30 miles per hour. And so it's not damaging, but it's certainly just breezy. And those winds will continue to slowly diminish as we head through the evening and the overnight hours. Temperatures right now are in the 30s to right around 40 degrees. And the satellite and radar just showing a few clouds that are passing through. And there are some snow showers to the west of us, but I don't expect them to survive the journey into Connecticut. 20s by 11 p.m. and 20s for daybreak tomorrow. We are going to wake up to sunshine, but I do think we'll see some clouds stream in as we head through the middle of the day. It's cool overall. We're looking at high temperatures that will stay in the 30s during the day on Wednesday. And even though it's definitely feeling a whole lot more like winter, that chill won't last too long. We'll talk about moderating temperatures and when some rain returns. Your full forecast is coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, a Bridgeport man will now spend the next 12 years in prison for 2 armed robberies more than 3 years ago. According to court documents, 22-year-old Derek Rivera robbed a Bridgeport barbershop using a firearm on November 11th of 2022. Several weeks later, Rivera robbed a restaurant also in Bridgeport and fired shots toward the owner and employees. One of the bullets hit the cash register, causing pieces of glass and plastic to injure the restaurant owner's face, hand, and stomach. Rivera pleaded guilty in October. After he serves 12 years, Rivera will also have 5 years of supervised release.
Third person's been charged in connection to an intentional Thompson house fire nearly 2 years ago. Cassandra Heredia was arrested in court. She's been charged with plotting to commit arson and attempted murder. For some context here, the arrest warrant says 5 men beat a man she knew with a bat. Police say he then drove her and another man to set fire to what they thought was one of the attacker's homes, although the attacker wasn't living there at the time. Investigators say Heredia lied about being the one who did it. They say she was scared of the man who actually poured the gasoline. She's still in custody.
New Haven police arrested a man who they say randomly smashed windows at several businesses yesterday. Taiwan Grooms is being held on a $50,000 bond tonight. Officers say he smashed a window on Grand Avenue with a rock yesterday morning and then stole an axe from inside. Police say Grooms then went to State Street where he broke 5 more windows. When officers found him, he refused to drop the axe and tried to run away. Officers caught up with him and arrested him after a brief struggle. Police say Grooms was taken to a hospital to be evaluated.
New here at 5, an oil delivery driver called 911 after seeing smoke come out of a South Windsor home. Firefighters were called to Nevers Road at 10:50 this morning. Officials say they pushed through the heavy smoke and found a pile of rags burning in the kitchen. They quickly put it out. They didn't say how bad the damage was. Thankfully, the fire didn't spread and nobody was home at the time. It's currently being renovated, we're told. It's still under investigation.
And following a murder-suicide in Hebron, the restaurant next door to where it happened is back open and has raised more than $600 for the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Brick Cantina reopened Saturday, one day after police say Gregorio Kalahua Mantil killed Diana Perdomo and then himself. The building on Route 66 where they were found is operated by the owners of Brick Cantina. We're still waiting for the chief medical examiner to release the autopsy results. Investigators haven't said what the circumstances were surrounding the 2 deaths. Well, strikes continue across the Middle East amid the ongoing war with Iran. Israel announced it's killed Iran's top security official. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was also targeted by drones during an attack. As Michael Yoshida explains, this all comes as a ship carrying American Marines makes its way to the Middle East.
Defense systems firing at projectiles near the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, Iraq. Diplomatic headquarters, an oil field, hotel, and other facilities all reportedly targeted by Iran. The early morning attacks happening as Israel announced it had killed Ali Larijani, Iran's top security official. Also reportedly killed a leader of Iran's paramilitary, which was part of violent crackdowns on protesters in January.
This is a big deal, taking these 2 out. If killing Khamenei was kind of a 10, I'd say this is an 8.5.
Flight and shipping disruptions continuing across the Middle East. Several airlines extending flight cancellations, and NATO allies deciding not to send ships to help secure the region's waterways.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test, because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
Impacts to the Strait of Hormuz continuing to cause surging gas prices, up to an average of $3.79 a gallon, according to AAA. And it could get worse.
You've got a combination of higher demand, summer blend gasoline, and rising crude oil prices. So that means spring and summer are going to be your highest times for gas prices.
Tuesday, a top Trump-appointed U.S. intelligence official resigned. Joe Kent, a staunch Trump supporter, writing in part, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." The White House called that claim absurd. In Washington, Michael Yoshida, Fox 61.
A woman believed to be the ex-wife of the suspect who drove his car into a Michigan synagogue last week called police before the attack. The woman identified herself as Fatima. She told the Dearborn Heights Dispatch the suspect was suicidal. Take a listen to part of that 911 call.
Caller on the line. Go ahead.
Okay, caller, go ahead. What's going on?
Hello. His family, his 2 brothers and their kids in an airstrike in Lebanon in the war, and he's not stable. He texted me. He sent me a voice message right now. He's like suicidal. I called him. I'm trying to call him. He kept he answered me.
Do you know if he has any weapons in the home?
I don't know at all.
Okay, and what?
But I'm scared. I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if there's anything, but I just feel like he's by himself.
The suspect died after driving a car full of explosives into the synagogue. Homeland Security says he entered the U.S. illegally in 2011 and became a citizen 5 years later.
Here's more now on that top counterterrorism official, Joe Kent, resigning today. The former National Counterterrorism Center director said he, quote, cannot in good conscience support the war in Iran. Kent again said Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation and said we started the war because of pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Now, at this moment, President Donald Trump hasn't made any more public statements about Kent's resignation.
Connecticut and more than a dozen states are suing the Trump administration, accusing it of undermining fair housing protections. Attorney General William Tong says new federal guidance threatens to cut off funding unless states weaken laws that protect against discrimination based on things like sexual orientation, gender identity, and income. The lawsuit argues that those conditions are illegal and could make housing discrimination worse, while also driving up enforcement costs.